Hello everyone, my name is Abhishek and welcome back to my channel. Let me ask you three questions today. Can AI replace DevOps? How long is AI going to take to exactly replace the DevOps jobs? Should I start learning DevOps today? Because someone told me AI is going to take over DevOps jobs. So there is no point of learning. Sounds familiar? Yes. These are the questions that you keep asking me every day on the channel. So in today's video, I decided to answer all of these questions for you. All that you have to do is to watch this video till the end because I'm going to give you 5 important reasons why DevOps is going to be the last thing that is replaced by AI. And if you like the video, please share it within your network because there are a lot of people who wants to start their DevOps journey, but these questions are blocking them or stopping them to move forward. Without any delay, let's get started. Now, the first and the most important reason, DevOps is not about coding. Of course, as DevOps engineers, you work on shell scripting, you work on writing some Python scripts to automate your day-to-day activities, but it's not your primary responsibility. Now, why am I talking about coding? Because if you look at the top models today, models from OpenAI, models from Anthropic, what is their selling point? Their selling point is to replace the developers. In fact, models are benchmarked today. So if you want to know the efficiency of a model, the benchmarking is the sway benchmarking. What is sway benchmarking? The ability of a model to perform a coding related activity, or the ability of a model to solve GitHub issues that are on the GitHub, the open source issues. But as DevOps engineer, you deal with complete different problems. You deal with problems related to cloud billing. You deal with cloud cost optimization. You deal with budgets. You deal with probably some logging related issue, or your production is down. Issue with the availability of your service. This is something the models are not at all focusing at this point. There are two reasons for this. Number one, the addressable market. If a model is good at coding activity, and if the company sells the model as something that can replace the developers, then there is a large market for them, right? The addressable market is very, very high. That's why you see open statements from CEO of Anthropic, CEO of OpenAI, that their models are going to replace developers. And if you put that point aside, if they are going to replace developers or not, but they are going to focus on the same thing in the next 5 years. Every single model, every startup in the Silicon Valley that is focusing on the AI models, they would be addressing the developers. So, as DevOps engineers, you are at a very little risk when compared to the developers. Now, another reason is that these models, they are heavily dependent on the data. So to train a large language model, end of the day, you need data related to it. But if you look at concepts like DevOps, cloud, and SRE, there is very little documentation that is available. You go to Reddit, you go to Stack Overflow, you don't get the exact resolution and you don't get the exact data related to it. So it is hard for the large language models to be trained and be efficient on these topics. In fact, there are some AI models that started, they promised to replace DevOps engineers, but they failed terribly because of the same reason. And they could not get enough investments in the market as well. So this is one of the primary reason why DevOps is going to be the last thing that is replaced by AI. And this is the first important reason. Then the second reason is production environment. If you ever worked in the production environment or at least dealt with a production incident, you know it's not a plain green field. Production environment is very, very messy. And in fact, ideal decision might not be the best decision for your organization. If there is an issue, you involve the stakeholder, you involve the management, and you take a business decision collectively. What I'm trying to say here, if there is any issue with production, it's not always the logical decision that works for you. And AI models takes the logical decision. If something goes wrong in the production, it might roll back your production to the previous version. Logically, it is correct. But when you look at the business level, the equation might be totally different. Maybe you have some commitments with the stakeholder. You want to develop a patch in the next few hours and deploy the patch. Till the time, you might want to continue with the same version. Although there is an issue with the application, but you want to keep it running because the impact is minimal when compared to rolling it to the previous version. Maybe the previous version has some security issue of a particular client. You never know. So you cannot rely on an AI model, at least in the near future, in the production environment. Then the third reason, DevOps is not a textbook role. If you look at a DevOps role today, what exactly is the responsibility of a DevOps engineer? To bridge the gap between development and operations. In simple words, in the software development lifecycle, wherever manual activity is involved, wherever operations are involved, DevOps engineers try to reduce those operations so that the application is shipped faster and secure. If developers are working on Git in the initial stages, DevOps engineers introduce Git best practices, maybe branching strategy, CI/CD, pre-commit hooks. Then, if the developers are working on infrastructure, DevOps engineers introduce infrastructure as code, configuration management, infrastructure security, best practices. Similarly, at every stage, DevOps is involved. It can be with development, it can be with testing, it can be with infrastructure, it can be with deployment, even monitoring today. So it is very, very difficult for someone to build an agent or maybe to build an AI model that is DevOps specific. The scope of DevOps is very, very huge. This is another reason why AI cannot replace DevOps. And to add to it, the fourth reason, every infrastructure is unique. Let's say you go to 10 different companies today, everyone might be using Kubernetes, but the way they set up their Kubernetes clusters is completely unique. Same is with Terraform, same is with AWS Cloud. Everyone might be using AWS Cloud, but the services they use on AWS Cloud or the way they set up their virtual private cloud, the way they are using the networking within the AWS might be completely different. And for AI models to excel, they need a standard environment, which is not the case in case of DevOps. So this is another reason why AI is very difficult to replace DevOps engineer roles. And the final reason, accountability. Of course, this applies to every field in the software industry, but it applies significantly more for DevOps. Let me explain. Let's say you deployed a DevOps AI agent in production and it took a decision to roll back the version to the previous version. And this created adverse situation for your organization. Maybe, as I told you, it might be the ideal decision, but it put your organization in a very adverse state. Now, who is going to talk to your customers? Who is going to talk to your stakeholders? And most importantly, how would you tell the AI agent to bring the system back to the normal state? You need someone to direct the AI agent. You need someone to take the accountability and bring the system back to the state that your customers need. So the human in loop is very, very important. As I told you, human in loop is very important for every field in the software industry, but it is more important for the organizations with DevOps focus. So what is the bottom line? The bottom line is that AI is not going to replace DevOps engineers. But as DevOps engineers, you can start using AI so that you can significantly enhance your day-to-day productivity. Let's say you're working on shell scripting, go ahead and use AI because AI can write shell script faster than you. And you have to act as a human in the loop. Maybe you're working on a Python script, go ahead and do it. It can write Python code faster than you. Just act as a human in the loop. And in fact, what I personally believe, it comes to AI, AI is going to create more opportunities for DevOps engineers because the horizon of DevOps is significantly expanding. You might call it ML ops, you might call it AI ops, you might call it LLM ops. End of the day, DevOps engineers have to take these opportunities. You cannot expect a developer to step up and take the role of LLM ops engineer because if you come from the DevOps background, you already know how to automate the operations. You already know a lot of tools in this space. You can easily gear up as an LLM Ops Engineer. Finally, if you have any questions, do let me know in the comment section. I'm more than happy to help you on this aspect. There are a lot of other things which I did not cover in the video, but I covered the 5 major reasons why AI cannot replace DevOps. In the immediate next video on the channel, I'll talk about how to use AI, because again, this is one thing a lot of you asked, how you can get started with AI, how one can use AI as DevOps engineers to enhance your productivity. That's going to be immediate next video on the channel. Once again, thank you so much for watching the video. See you all in the next one. Take care.